Hey everyone, welcome back to the Empowering Minds Mental Health Podcast. And today I'm excited to have Victoria Gallagher with us. She's someone who truly understands how powerful our mindset can be in shaping our lives. So we'll be talking about how visualization and manifestation can help us grow, let go of what's holding us back, and step into the life we've always dreamed of. So I know this conversation is going to be both inspiring and practical. So we're going to jump right in. Thank you for coming on today.
Thank you so much for having me, Jennifer. It's a pleasure, a privilege to be here and be on your show.
Thank you so much. All right, so question one. Can you tell us about a time when shifting your mindset made a big difference in your life? And can you explain like what that experience was like for you?
Yeah, absolutely. Gosh, there's been so many times because at every level we're having to grow and shift ourselves. And, I would say as most recent, one of the shifts I had to make was in letting go of and detaching from the outcome. I had been working on a huge project, which we'll talk about later. But this project required, a team of people that knew what they were doing and knew how to get the job done. And of course, initially there was a timeline provided for that. There were promises that were made for that. And, when they were not coming to fruition, it can really kind of cause you to, it can really jilt the mindset and make you doubt yourself and make you doubt the project and make you just doubt whether this is really going to happen or not. And I had to just like look a little bit deeper within myself for, guidance and for the intuitive answers. And I kept just being open and receptive to seeing and hearing signs and just what I kept hearing was just let go and trust
Mm,
and, keep the vision, keep the vibration high and keep the positivity because, when we have a tendency, can something like that can really cause you to get into a negative mindset.
mm,
And when you get into that negative mindset, all you do is create more negativity from the same. And so I had to really teach myself in that moment, once again, just how important it is to keep positive and things will eventually unfold the way that they're supposed to. And they eventually did. So it worked.
And I like what you said. I thought about myself. So like sometimes I do speaking engagements.
Yeah.
And I would always beat myself up like moments just before speaking. Like, I wonder, did I write the right things? Because last time I remember such and such, I would beat myself up. And sometimes I would turn speaking engagements down because I just felt like maybe I'm just not reaching the room. And then when I got the feedback, they were like, "You were wonderful. We want you to come back." And I'm like, well, I'm glad you provided me this feedback, but I had to learn to change my mindset that I am trying to do something to continue to break stigmas around mental health. And so I have
Yeah.
to always kind of, that's my center point, that I am
Yeah.
trying to be proactive and move forward. But it is all about changing your mindset. So that is very true. And so I want to ask you, a lot of people struggle to let go of beliefs that hold them back. Do you have any advice for someone who may feel like that they're stuck there?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's interesting. I just wanted to speak to what you said about the speaking engagements because, boy, the very first time I ever accepted a speaking engagement was not too long ago, about 7 years ago, something
Mhm.
along that line. And I'm sitting there and I've got my thing, written out and okay, I think I need to actually practice this and say these things out loud. And as soon as I did, it was just like the most awkward feeling came over me. And I'm like, why did I sign up for this? Like, why did I even want to put myself through this? This is torture, like, but then of course, as soon as I practiced and kind of like let go of that, I mean, I got up there and I kicked some major butt. People had no idea that that was my first presentation in front
Mhm.
of that type of audience. But anyway, getting back into your question about the changing the limiting beliefs
Mhm.
and what we can do about that. The first thing really is to become aware of what they actually are.
Mhm.
Whenever we hit a roadblock, we've got to ask ourselves, what is it in me that might be blocking this? Because there's really no one or nothing outside of you that can get in your way
Mhm.
of doing whatever it is that you want to do. So really the first thing is just to become aware of what that belief is. And then it's really just kind of a simple matter of shifting that and asking, well, okay, this is what I don't want to happen.
Mhm.
So what do I want? Getting into the habit of just asking yourself, what would I be able to do, or what would I do? What would I have if there was no possibility of failing? Because so much of the limits have to do with something from the past that we're still either carrying around with us, some sort of resentment, something we haven't forgiven, from ourselves or from other people. And so we're living and recreating from the past all the time. And so we have to be able to make peace with whatever happened, whether it's a relationship that didn't work out, whether it was a business that didn't work out, whether you didn't make the money that you were hoping that you were going to make, whether you failed at achieving your weight goal or whatever it was. We have to just be able to look back on that and say, okay, that happened. But we don't have to make up a story about that because usually we make up these stories about those events. So, what do we want to tell ourselves instead about that? What is it that we want to achieve? And, focusing and just shifting the mindset into what do I want? And knowing that we can create anything, we really can, as long as we stay focused and committed and disciplined and take the actions in that direction, we can create whatever we want. And so it's just a matter of really reminding ourselves of just how powerful our minds really are and that we really can do that.
Great. I was just listening to you and I was thinking how the power of our mind and the power of our words can really impact us, um, either negative or positive. And so, of course, if you think negative things about much, then that's pretty much what you're going to manifest. So I always try to be mindful of just being present and thankful for everything that I do have, so I can stay more on the positive side. So that was some
Absolutely.
good information.
Yeah.
Now, I'm looking in your background, and so I love your books. And so I want to leave the last of this podcast. If you want to share anything about your background, what it is that you do, your books, how people can contact you for future services, or anything that you have along those lines.
Oh, absolutely. So, I've been a hypnotherapist by trade for the last 25 years. I started in this business in 1999. And so at the forefront, I provide people with hypnotherapy recordings that they can listen to to reprogram their minds. Much of what we're talking about, we're just talking about it on a conscious level, and that conscious level of mind is only 10%. It's a very, very small part of our mind. And, so many changes that people try to make are through willpower, through trying,
Mhm.
through thinking I want, but it doesn't generally last very long. It's not a very permanent way to change your life. So that's why I became a hypnotherapist to help people to actually plant the seeds of what it is that they want. When you change your mind, and you're having to constantly do that on your conscious level. If you go into hypnosis and program the new thoughts into your mind, it's going to have a much more lasting and permanent effect, and it's much easier and it takes less time. So that's what I have been working on my entire career, is helping people with that. And of course, as a result of that, I got interested in manifestation and law of attraction. So I wrote all these books. Um, my claim to fame is the law of attraction. The practical law of attraction is my most popular book.
Mhm.
It has over 1,000 reviews in Amazon, all positive. And I mean, you get the negative review every once in a while, but that is a book that teaches the practical way, the practical approaches, using what I call the 8 manifestation conditions. And, it's all about, getting the clarity, aligning your thoughts, aligning what you're visualizing, aligning your vibration, your emotions, aligning your actions, aligning with the super conscious, which is kind of a part of us that we're all connected to, and taking the right actions, and and having the gratitude and the acknowledgement for the things that we've already manifested.
Mhm.
So much of my work really is a collaboration between law of attraction and using hypnosis to really integrate these principles into the subconscious mind. And I typically do work, I love working with entrepreneurial people, creative people, people who are, innovative and wanting to bring their services and their art into this world. And so that's what my app does, is really helps people to strengthen their mind, teaching them all sorts of skills, discipline, motivation, success, and reprogramming their mind for financial abundance and prosperity and love and health and all the things that they could want.
Your app is the Believe app,
It is the Believe app. It's
and
called
that's
Believe Hypnosis.
okay, and that's available, I guess, in Google Play and Apple.
It is.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
okay. Now I wanted to ask you one thing. There's a lot of stigmas around hypnosis. Can you give just a little insight about what that means, the term hypnosis?
Absolutely. So, what it is really just a way of, it's a two-way communication between your conscious desires and your subconscious, which is where all of your beliefs, all of your memories, all of your emotions, all of your patterns of behaviors are stored. And so, it's really getting the the subconscious mind to be open and receptive to hearing and receiving the new positive suggestions, so that you're not constantly having to like babysit your mind, which is what we always have to do. It's like, when you are aware, you become aware of these negative thoughts, these negative patterns, these things that you want to change. It's like, I want to be more motivated. I want to be more confident. I want to have better health. I want to take better care of myself, all of these things. And
Mhm.
you're constantly having to think about that. Hypnosis just simply puts the ideas into your subconscious mind and integrates it deeply so that it becomes a habit and it becomes the way that you just are. And, a lot of the stigmas kind of come from, people seeing stage shows and people acting silly and movies that
Hmm.
misrepresent how hypnosis really is. And all of that is just for show. It's all for entertainment.
Hmm.
It does kind of demonstrate a little bit like, oh, there is this powerful part of our minds that we can take hold of, but it's not like the hypnotist has control over your brain. Only you can control and allow these suggestions. You could just sit there and you could reject all the suggestions and say, I'm not going into hypnosis. You can do that. But people who are willing and want the changes and are receptive to the changes, those are the people that hypnosis really, really can help.
I'm so glad that you made that point because on TV, I mean, I've seen it myself. That was all, it was like the therapist had control over the person's mind. And you're right. And I think that's what kind of contributed to some of the stigmas. So I'm very glad that you did point that out. That is a very valid point. All right. So lastly, I just wanted to know, do you have any final thoughts or anything that you want to resonate with the viewers who are going to come back and watch this podcast later on?
Absolutely. I just want to make it known that, you came into this world with gifts to share. We all have a unique gift to share. And so if there is something on your heart, something that you imagine that you could become, something that you dream about, something that maybe you thought about when you were a young child and you said, one day I'm going to do that. I just want you to know that you have everything inside of you that it takes to be, do, and have anything that you can achieve. You just need to line up with it in your mind, believe in yourself, commit to yourself, make a decision and go for it because your dreams are not only possible and not only achievable, but it's almost like they are there for a purpose and they're there for you to bring your purpose to other people, to share your gifts with other people so that the world works better and becomes a better place because you were in it and you made a contribution and you can do that and you deserve to do that.
I love that. Thank you. That was a beautiful closing thought. So thank you again for coming on the podcast, and I'll be in contact with you shortly.
Thank you so much. I
Okay.
really appreciate it.
Yes,
Thanks.
ma'am. Thank you. You take care.
You too.
All right. Bye-bye.